Hi everyone, I'm Teacher Brian. Welcome to my reading channel. I'm going to show you how to teach a guided reading lesson. 5 major steps and lots of tips. You can also check out my sample videos on my channel. Let's check it out. Let's look at the objective for a guided reading lesson. I think the main thing is to try and get reading enjoyment. Once your students start to enjoy reading, that's half the battle. And I think it's very important before you start each book or each lesson is to generate excitement and anticipation for the book. This just helps all the imagination and it helps for understanding as well. You'll also be trying to establish the reading levels in your class so you can provide appropriate books and also what the students like and dislike. Let's look at what you'll be teaching in a well-planned guided reading lesson. It's not only listening skills, but there's pronunciation, comprehension, predictive reading, fluency for reading as the children listen to you read aloud. You'll be teaching vocabulary and common sight words, and also different print and narrative concepts with the different books that you read. Then also things like story conventions, in the beginning, once upon a time. All these things you can teach in a properly structured guided reading lesson. Before you start your reading lesson, you want to set the scene a bit. You want your students to be comfortable, you want them to be focused and ready for the reading lesson. Make sure they have a clear vision of the book you are reading, either through a PPT or a giant reading book, so that they can see the pictures and also follow the reading. So it's great if you have a whiteboard where you can set up a PPT or the giant storybooks, as I said, where the children can clearly see the pictures. And then before you start reading, it's always great to generate a bit of interest by using some props or some intro videos which just set the scene for the theme of the book that you're about to read. So once you have the students settled and engaged, it's now time to preview the book. Start with displaying the front cover of the book. Discuss the picture, the title, and ask the students some predictive questions. What do they think the story is about? What can they see on the front cover? It just gets them thinking about what's coming up in the book. You can also do a quick picture tour. Just show them the pictures in the book pretty quickly, which also gives the students an idea of the sequence and what's coming up. And then it's always good to introduce the author and the illustrator and give them the credit for a wonderful book. So after the preview, you can go on to learning some new words. First, get the students to practice the pronunciation by saying the words after you. And then you can try and see if some of the students know the meanings of the words by associating with the pictures. And then you can provide the meaning of the word and then play an activity or a game to reinforce the words, like match the picture, as I've done in this slide. And then a good practice is also to get the students to write the words down in their notebooks. And then they can also put their home language meaning of the word as well. Translanguaging always helps with ESL students. Then it's on to reading the story. Now, depending on the length of the book, whether you read it just in part or in whole, but then also pre-plan the moments in the book when you want to ask predictive questions or review questions, comprehension, or to discuss the meaning of certain words that you come across in the book. Then you can also choose a page or a paragraph and get the students to read after you. You can either get them to read as a whole class or group, or choose individual students to read. This always helps with fluency and pronunciation. And once you are done reading the story, it's always a good idea to get some feedback from the students, see whether they enjoyed the book, whether that's the type of book that they really like, and then get a discussion going about what they think the main idea of the story was, and maybe a life lesson that was learned from the book. Review is always such an important part of any teaching lesson. So it's a good idea to create a worksheet and then introduce it to the students and explain how to complete it. Remember, differentiation. If you have different levels in your class or group, then maybe produce 2 different worksheets which then cater to those different levels. Then get the students to complete the worksheet either in class or for homework, and then review the answers at the end of the lesson or before the start of the next lesson. Well, I hope you found that useful. You can check out my channel for more videos. See you there.